The last guy that did this to me, Snow Monkey, is pushing up daisies. You want to challenge me? You want to haunt me? You want to get caught up in a war with me? Well, you got it. You got a war. Okay, so they've been floating around in the community, apparently, a large number of videos on immersions. Now, we have these from skilled intellectuals, enlightened individuals in the community, like my man Alex Gillette. Check out his channel, Captain Goth Dog, and you can see his video on immersion. And you have mental miscreants like a French-Canadian GSP doppelganger out there trying to run his mouth about something he doesn't understand. And we're going to talk about that right now and refute you, GSP. Unfortunately, YouTube was nice enough to take video responses away because they don't see the value in actual community building nor understand that. Okay, so you guys are just going to have to be on your own trying to track those videos down. You can go check out Same OG's video and Askale's video, and I don't know, there are a couple more on there. I watched a little bit here and there. Points I disagreed with. We shall visit those forthcoming. Now, immersion is a word you cannot spell without your main man, and now I come to spell it for you. And the definitions that are defining this hobby. This hobby is something... let's look at immersion like a little cylinder, right? And it's made of glass, and we could fill it with liquid, or there could be no liquid in it at all. Now, that deep immersive style, that's when the liquid is brimming and overflowing and flowing out of the flask and it's getting everywhere. Now, the opposite end of the spectrum from deep immersion is casual slip, let's call it. And a casual slip means that's where you're playing a game in that casual format, which I do loathe and disdain, and all of a sudden you're not playing the game anymore. I don't know if any of you have seen that before, but yeah, I certainly have. And you know what that does? It drives game masters from the hobby. It drives players from the hobby. It destroys the hobby. It's very bad. I've had a lot of people comment about that sort of slip before. Let me break that down for you in case you're not quite following me, because I want you to get immersed in what your main man is saying. But then again, how could it be any other way? Now, let's say that you have your group going, and it's been, you know, Bob and Steve are over here, and they're talking out of character. They're just gibbering on, and Ken's here trying to play, and then just sort of kind of gives up and starts talking with them, and eventually you're no longer playing the game at all. There's no game happening. You may have character sheets and dice somewhere around, but the game is not there, and it's not revisited. It never comes back to, not that night, not any other night. That is the absolute bottom. That means there's no more immersion inside that cylinder. There's none. There's no liquid there. It's gone. It's evaporated. It's evanesced out into nothing. So we can have that, which is nothing, which means you're now just hanging out. You may have game books and so forth, but you're not playing a role-playing game anymore. You can have just a tiny bit of immersion in there. It's like, I am Bob the fighter, and I look just like me, except I have elf ears, and I don't speak in character, really, because I don't even really understand what that is. I just kind of talk, and I laugh a whole lot, even though it makes no sense. It's like, and the Lich comes up to you, he's like, oh, no. Yeah, I will say Monty Python quotes to him. Or you'll say, Bob the Fighter will say Monty Python quotes. I'm like, well, wait, how does Bob the Fighter know Monty Python quotes? Why are they saying it? Why are you or he or whatever it is laughing, and why are you calling him Bob the Fighter and not I? So all those things are, you know, at that very base level. And quite honestly, I don't like that style of play at all. It hurts the hobby. It drives away people who have a modicum of intelligence. They go, oh, this is stupid. This is dorky. I don't want a part of this. Come sit down with me. You won't think either of those things about this beautiful hobby that we share and enjoy. And yes, I am most vocally an advocate for deep immersive style play. I'm most ardently a champion of this hobby. I believe it is the most beautiful hobby there is. I believe when RPGs are done well, when they're done right, they are an art form. They are something that can be engaged in, enjoyed, that can create lasting memories, bonds that last a lifetime between people, collective shared space experiences that are of tremendous fun. Now, that's why I'll lambaste and rage against certain other archetypes of the hobby, because quite frankly, I feel that they are detrimental and damaging to the beauty that we shoot for. And that's what I shoot for in a game. For me, it's about making a character. It's about playing the character. It's about staying in character. And when you do those things, you build the foundation for immersive play. I watched one of the other videos. One of these guys talking about, oh, well, you can't manufacture it. Yes, you can. You just don't know how. But soon enough, you will have raw, immersive games to show you the way to light. With the ever-flaming torch of Morgul, you will go in to the dark phase of Erebon, and you will know the way and the truth of immersive gaming. So, how do you manufacture those events? Well, I'll give you all of my secrets. I pay for some of those. But let's talk a little bit about how you begin to construct this model for your group, where you create it. Now, if you're playing continuously out of character, you might stumble ass backwards into some amount of immersion, possibly. But we keep it in character. We stay in character. We engage like a method actor in that character. And if I'm doing it, if Alex is doing it, and if Rob is doing it, then we can feed off each other. And we build, and we build, and we build. And that liquid keeps coming up and up and up. And we get more intense and more engaged and more immersed. And I'm feeding off you, you're feeding off me. That energy is just running wild, brother. So that's really something to take into account. The fact that, yes, you can put the building blocks in place to produce a larger quantity, a greater volume of immersive experiences. I can't sit there and tell you one immersive experience I had 20 years ago. I can tell you immersive experiences I have constantly. I can tell you immersive experiences I have on Google+. And quite honestly, playing in person is vastly a superior situation. But the wonderful thing about an online experience is you could just cherry pick your players from thousands, which is a hell of a pool to pick from. And you can get the people who support that same ideology, that support that same desire and drive that you have to play a wonderful game. So for me, it's a trade-off balance. But in person, man, we'll get up, we'll grab each other, look each other in the eye. The facials are just like the characters. On online games, you got to kind of subtext things. Because I can't grab Alex and be like, yeah, well, you know something, dude. I have to kind of say, okay, well, I do this, and I'm doing this to you, and we're doing this, and we're go nose to nose. And I'll get up, I'll get right in your face, I'll grab you, I'll take a bump on the ground for you. It doesn't matter to me. I want to get there and feel that and experience what the character has. The people there, they got like the bow right in your face, like, oh, like, oh, attack of opportunity. You're like, oh, God, I'm about to get my wig split. Trust me, it creates this wonderful idea in your head. When you're getting up, you get that adrenaline pumping, and you're having a hell of a time. And you're giving to that, and you're going into that deep narrative description that's collectively shared, and the players are bringing it in, and we're describe. You don't need a hex grid. You don't need any kind of grid. You don't need dungeon tiles. You don't need miniatures. These things are vicious, vile, demonic agents of anti-immersion. They are going to block off that high level of immersive play. As soon as I have to reach out and do this and this and this, it's done, baby. You may still have this minor modicum of immersive play, but I'm not playing for a 6. I'm playing for a 10. I'm chasing that 10. That's why I play RPG, to catch it. And then when I grab it, when I finally grab it, and it is not an easy thing to grab that 10. I'm not saying that every time I play I hit a 10. Not at all. There's times, like Alex said in his video, where we're just going to line up better for a better narrative, a better game master, a better story situation, higher energy on other people's part. But even if the energy is low, if you all start kind of building it, man, it can start building, and you can start rocking and rolling, and you could really start tearing the house down and turning it out and having a hell of a time. But when everybody comes in and everybody's ready, when you have that right time, when the stars align, you could just tell this tremendous story show where you're just in it, and it is so much fun. And that's why I shout and rage about it, because quite frankly, that is where the fun lies in RPGs, where the real fun lies. And I know a lot of you out there have never experienced, even a 7 or an 8. The immersive content of games that most people play is staggeringly low, is horrifyingly low. And the reason that I have dedicated myself to spend thousands of hours writing RPGs that teach these ideas, that give back to the hobby that I love. You're not going to find anybody out there that loves this hobby more than I do, regardless of any other shortcomings that I may have or put forward. One thing is true in that regard. So when we're talking about loving the hobby, well, how do we show our appreciation back to it? It's by giving the best quality we can to entice to ensnare new individuals into the hobby to play this game the way that it can be played. There is definitively a way that is better, and it comes down to being able to believe. And we just showed that right on the scale, right? Because we showed what happens when you don't have immersion. When you have no immersion at all, you don't have a game. So, falling out of character and the game collapses around you and you're just having a conversation, but it's probably not necessarily the happiest one for everyone, because somebody, probably your game master, not a little bit salty over the fact that he just got completely dissed out of the water, and his confidence will probably be fairly well shattered, and that could reflect over into other avenues and aspects of his life. So he may well be like, no, I'm not going to run a game again. That's 5 years later. So, and I've seen that from people. Not people I'm going to play with necessarily, but just from people around. And, they'll talk to me, or people will send me PMs. And I get PMs constantly on these sort of subjects. So for me, immersion is clearly the way to go. Playing for those moments that you remember for the rest of your life. You're 25 years ago. Oh man, you see somebody, see them, oh man, remember when we did this? Because it's practically like it was real. And I don't mean that in a psychotic way, amazes the boss sort of way. And that's some of the people who attempt to detract. And quite frankly, let's face it, the people that are detracted from that, show me your game. Let's just be real for a minute. If you're detracting from it, I'm going to say the real reason is you've never played a game that was worth a damn. You don't understand it, and you're trying to grasp for straws. Like, oh well, I know I'm doing something wrong, but I don't know. I'll probably get some dislikes for that, but I don't care, because I'm going to shoot with you, and I'm going to tell you the truth. Just like you were sitting here in my living room, the camera wasn't on, it was me and you, and that's the way I run things. I don't run things for popular opinion. I run it for office, because I am the king of the barbarian horde. What office do I need? We will loot, plunder, and ransack that ass. So we were talking about immersion. We were talking about playing for that moment that's a perfect 10. But even in the chase of that perfect 10, we achieve when we're playing at an 8, at an 8.5, an 8.9. For 9.3, we're still turning in one hell of an effort. We're proud of what we've done. We're enjoying it. That's a great game. But when we hit that 10, it's just like a taste of nirvana for a few seconds, a few minutes, perhaps longer. And it's about trying to hold on to it as long as possible. When you're just there, and that mental exchange between you and the other individuals is so intense, it's so beautiful, it's so throbbing. It's just a wonderful, wonderful time. And again, I realize most of the people that watch this video have never been there, have never experienced that. But I know there are people out there that will watch the video that have experienced that, and that have experienced it with me. And they will say, yeah, that's the deal. That's the time that we want to get involved in the game. It's easy to turn in a performance that is terrible. It's easy to go, okay, I'm going to build my character function over form, and I'm going to get that long sword, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to be generic and bland and stock. And see, here's one of the problems, is you make it harder for the other people to really kind of pull you in and get with your idea. You're like, okay, well, what does your character do? Well, I don't know. Well, what was he trained to do beforehand? Well, I don't know. Well, you don't know. Well, he didn't have a profession. No one was teaching him to do anything. Oh, I don't know. I was an adventurer. What? You got to kind of engage that childhood, those early formative years, and you build that psychological tapestry. You build that mask, those eyes. You lay each strand and tapestry of the psychology. You want paper mache style down. You put it over your face. You look into that beautiful, surreal landscape of your game master's mind, and in there you look out and you see. And you go, wow, that's the magic, that's the beauty, and then you push and you push and you push to see those details a little clearer, a little clearer, a little clearer, and it runs through your head like a movie, like a high-definition movie. But you can go anywhere, you can do anything. Oh, I can go over here and look at this and do that, and jump over here and talk to this guy, and your options are limitless when you have that mental exchange. And you can feel those feelings, you can smell those smells, you can taste those tastes, you can touch things, you understand the weather, the way the breeze feels, the way the dust rises from the trail, the way your horse feels under you, and the soreness that you experience because of that. Your character's anguish and sadness, his triumphs, his joys, his lusts, his desires, his fulfillment, and his achievement. When you get involved in those things, it's a wonderful deal. It's what role-playing games are really about, that deep method-acting style, bringing to the game, devising a game that is that beautiful experience. Because guess what? That's what everyone gets drawn to the game for. And that's why I have dozens of comments every single week, PMs that are like 5 pages long in my box going, I was driven out of the hobby because of this, because of that, because of this. And what they're all really saying is I was driven out of the hobby because people refused to engage immersively. People refused to engage in that fashion because they're trying to win. But when you try to win, you always lose. Think about that for a minute. You win by making those moments that are magic, by making the beautiful art we have before us wonderful, and getting all you can out of it. Deep immersive play is all you can get out of the hobby. It is pushing books like this as far as you can for as much as you can get out of them. It's entertaining those players so much that they never want to play anyone's game but yours. Where they're begging you, where they're desperate. They're like, oh, this guy's going to run a game. No. Ender, well, why don't you run a game? That dude, why don't you get in there and run a game and flame Tinder like no other, like none other ever has or can or will. And you have that for a reason. You have a level of desire from different people for a reason. Like, I want this. I want this guy doing it. I want to experience the game this way. And there's a reason you pick the people that you have carefully to get aboard that mental, imaginative express. It has a lot of wonderful destinations and the vistas unknown. But that's what people imagine. Let's think back and draw back. You know, when you're like 9 years old, you never played a game, but you heard about Dungeons and Dragons or something. Did you think, wow, I can do 12 damage with my battle axe? Or did you think about it unfolding like a movie, like a story about you and its epicness and the relationships you had and the experiencing of these strange places and venturing and seeing what a troll looked like for the first time encountering it and having those sort of mental images, though they were poorly formed in an adolescent mind. I think that's the way, and that's the draw. That's what people want. They want immersion. That's why people play role-playing games. It's not for playing out a character. It's not for just hanging out, because you can just hang out anytime, right? It's for immersion. Now, you are really only limited in immersion by your own imagination. Not everyone is going to be capable to hit those highest levels. But when you look around, and let's be honest, because it's just you in your head right now, baby. And if you're a little bored, the other people are a little bored playing their game, might be a reason for that. There might not be a lot of immersion in a glass. You might want to stimulate, facilitate, and put more immersion in there. Immersion is the key, to making the hobby wonderful, because it's about getting in character as deep as you can, playing the character as best you can, building a story as best you can, expressing energy between each other as much as you can, getting carried away with that imagination for just a moment. And that is a beautiful thing.